Hello everyone, it's Kathy and you're back here on my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm located here in the beautiful state of North Carolina. But if you're not currently working with a demonstrator, I would be more than happy to have the opportunity to earn your business. So with all that being said, I want to visit a couple of things first, and then I want to show you what inspired me to do my project today. The one thing I want to show you is this is a beautiful black and white paper called Perfectly Penciled, and this is new in our new annual catalog, and it is just a gorgeous pack of papers done in just black and whites. Now the good thing about black and white, we can color these. If you wanted to color these leaves in different shades of green, or if you wanted to do them for a fall card and do them in beautiful changing colors of red and orange and yellow, that would be gorgeous. The flowers, the same way. We can color these flowers, or we can leave everything in this beautiful black and white pattern, which is what I chose. And this is the piece of paper that I chose to use, and it has this beautiful little stripe on the back. But this one is gorgeous as well. I just absolutely love black and white. There's something so classic about the colors and how well that they pair together. So I'm going to show you in the catalog where you can find that pack of paper, because it's not offered in a suite or anything like that. It is literally in, let's see, color collection. Let's go to our designer paper. Here we go. And if you go on to page 133 in your catalog, in the middle of the page is Perfectly Penciled 12 by 12 designer series paper. And there's 12 sheets, 2 of each of 6 double-sided designs, black and white. And you can see it used on page 76. I love the way Stampin' Up! Does their catalog, because they always show you where you can see something being used. So page 76, here we've got it showing here, some of it here, and there it is there. This is just such a lovely, lovely pack of paper. So I wanted to kind of pair it with the Cottage Rose and not the Abigail Rose, because that's the name of the paper that went with this. But the Cottage Flowers and the Cottage Rose is beautiful, and I think it'll pair real pretty with this paper. So let me show you what I had in mind. When, I think it was probably a couple of weeks ago, I showed y'all this card. And I don't know if any of you remember, it's that beautiful 3D card. Well, when I did mine, I decided to do just one of the pop-ups right here. And I had some people asking if I could show how I did the first one. So I thought what I would do, I'm going to do a two-fold, and I will give you measurements for doing it in a 5x7 like this, but I'm going to break it down. And what's so nice about these cards, they fold flat like this, so you can mail them. They are a little bulky. There is some thickness here, so you may have to use a little extra postage, but to send a card like that, I think it's so well worth it. So what I'm doing is I'm sizing this down into an A2 size card, just like this. And we're going to make it from scratch, but I'm just showing you this to start with. So I'm going to lay that over there, and I'm going to grab some cardstock. Let me grab some, I think I want some thick Whisper White. I'm sorry, not Whisper White. It's now called Basic White. So here is our beautiful cardstock, and this is the thick Basic White. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this piece down, and I'm going to show you how one piece of cardstock will give you everything you need for your card base. So I'm going to bring out my paper trimmer, and I'm going to leave y'all out a little bit until we start working closer, and then I will pull you in. So we're going to measure this off at 4 1/4, and I'm going to bring my blade down because I like to slice up. And this is going to be part of our card base. Now we're also going to need another piece that same width at 5 1/2. So now I'm going to lay this piece over here, and we're going to bring this piece back to our board. I'm going to move that blade out of my way, bring my scoring blade down, and I'm going to score that at 5 1/2. right in the middle, just like if you were doing any other card. But then I'm going to bring it up and I want to score it at 2 3/4. So a quarter before you get to the 3, just like that. And then we're going to score we're going to fold this over just like that. I'm going to get everything up into the corner. I want to make sure I'm getting a nice even fold on this. So that looks really good. And let me grab my bone folder because we're definitely going to want to crease this down really well. And I am going to grab, and I'm going to hold my paper because it's easier to train your paper before you get it creased down than it is afterwards. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to go back and forth across this really well. It's like I picked up something on my end of my bone folder. Oh, I know what happened. I had an ink pen to leak in my container where I keep this bone folder. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just take a little piece, a little wipe of alcohol. After I throw my bone folder almost across the room, I'm going to wipe that off because I want that, I don't want that to have anything on it. Just like that. Alright, so now the other thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to bend this in this direction to make our easel, because this is basically an easel card, just kind of jazzed up quite a bit. So that's going to go like that, and then this piece is going to glue onto this, but not yet. And this is going to give us our easel. Now we're going to need to make 3 pieces for our little pop-up, and those pieces are going to measure, and I had written my measurements down so I wouldn't forget them. What did I do with that? Oh my goodness, I had them on, yeah, I'm a little miscombobulated today, aren't I? But then, you know, that's true for me every day. Alright, so we need that piece to be 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write those measurements right here. 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. So, and we're going to need 3 of these. So you're going to need 3 at, so we're going to go ahead and cut this piece at 3 3/4. So 3 3/4, 1/4 before the 4. Get that scoring blade out of our way, and then we've got that cut, and then we're going to cut it at 4 1/4 and 4 1/4. 4 1/4, and we need another one 4 1/4, and we got that little piece. We'll just lay that over, and we're going to take this piece because we already know that it's 4 1/4, so we're going to cut this down to 3 3/4. Okay. So I know that I want my pieces the 4 1/4, so I need to score on the short side. So we're going to score 3/4 of an inch. So make sure your cut blade is out of your way if you're using this. If you're putting this in a traditional scoreboard, then don't worry about it. Just line it up at 3/4 and score it. Then come over to 1 1/2, which is another 3/4 of an inch, and score it, and then go over to 2 1/4 and score it, and then go over to 3 inches. And if you hear like a weed eater or something in the background, my husband's outside doing yard work, so you know we don't bother those men folks when they're out doing the yard work. We just let them be. So I do apologize if you hear that. Now I moved this over because on that last piece that you scored at 3, bring it back into your trimmer at 1/8 of an inch and just shave that off of each one of your pieces. So you're going to have that one end that's just a tiny bit by 1/8 shorter than the others. Lay those to the side, and you're going to do the same thing with each one of these. 3/4. Make sure you're doing it on your let's see, on your 3 3/4 inch side. So come in at 3/4 of an inch. Let's get that cut blade out of our way. We do not want to cut. Okay, and score. And then we're going to move it over to 1 1/2 and score. And then we're going to move it over to 2 1/4 and give it a good score. And then we're going to move it over to 3 inches. Give it a score. Now we're going to bring that all the way over to 1/8, which is 1/2 of a 4th is 1/8. So if you've got one that's broken down, your trimmer is broken down in 4ths, just go halfway the 4th and just slice that little bit off. Just like that. Just a shiver. It's not much at all. When you stack these, just make sure you stack them so that your short end is to the right. That way you can remember. I don't think it'll be a problem because it's just such a simple little thing to do. So we're going to line this up. I had so many people after I made that card that wanted to see how I did the one with the three tiers. So I thought this would be a good time to do this. So we get 3/4, 1 1/2. This would be a great time for me to bring this one down to an A2 size card, and also show you exactly how to do it. And like I said, I'll put the measurements in for a 5x7 as well as the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that way you'll have it for either card you want to make. But it's the same way even if you want to do a 6x6, you just will measure your width. These pieces will be the same, so it's really not a complicated thing. But if you run into any problems, don't hesitate to give me a call, send me a text or a email, and I will do my very best to answer you back lickety-split and get you back onto the right track. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and fold into these, and I always like my ridged, I fold into my raised area. So I'm going to zoom y'all in now. Right about there so you can see what I'm doing. So all I'm going to do is fold, and I'm going to burnish, and fold, and burnish, and fold, and fold. Now this is really heavy cardstock, so you're going to have to really be diligent. But when you put these together, what I want you to do is lay that piece down and just fold that piece right over. And when you do that and glue that down, this piece will line up, and any which way that you turn that, it will lay flat. So that's the reason I trimmed off that 1/8 of an inch right there. So let's go ahead and go through and let's do each one of these. Get it creased down really good as you go. Anytime you're doing a 3D project, it's very, very important to make sure that you've got nice crisp lines, and it makes everything come together so much better and look so much better. So that one's done. So now we're going to do this one, and I'm going to fold that and crease it, and crease it. It was so warm here today, I decided for supper I'm just making a nice tossed salad. So when it's warm, my husband and I, we eat a lot of salad anyway, and of course I put lots of meat and cheese and eggs, and so I make it like a chef's salad. Okay, here's our 3 pieces. Now we are going to use some glue, so I'm just going to use some basic liquid glue. clean off my top a little bit. So what we want to do on that short edge, we want to fold it over. So this is our little edge, and we're going to put glue on that edge. Just squiggle some glue down just like that, and then fold that piece over and press it. Press it, and then we're going to hold it that way and press it. Go ahead and give it another good crease with that bone folder, and like that. Now you want to take notice of where your raw edge is, and your raw edge is going to be where you glued that together. Now you can see that mine is really, I think it came together really well. You can barely tell, but I can tell. That piece will go down to the bottom and up against the back of the card, but I'll show you that when we get there. Let's go ahead and fold this down again. This is my short edge. You can see it doesn't go all the way to that score line. So we're going to put glue on here. Fold that over. Give it a good press. Fold it over. Press it out. And press it. Now that's the second one. And we're going to do the same thing here. Fold that over. You can see that's the edge because it doesn't have, it doesn't go all the way to the score line. And if you've ever made cylinders like this and they just, you can only bend them one way, that 1/8 of an inch will allow you to bend that in all the different directions you need it to go. So, and that is so important anytime you're doing any kind of project like this. Alright, so we have those together. Now we're going to bring our card base back over, open it up to where you have your larger section. The folded part that has the fold halfway goes to the top. And now what we want to do is we want to put our cylinders, our little blocks, you might want to call them. And on the bottom here, this is where my seam's at, I'm going to put glue just on that bottom. And then I'm going to set this down, and I'm going to grab one of my silicone craft mats. Oh, come on. I'm going to grab this because if I have any glue oozing, it'll get on this mat and not on my work surface, which will be good for later. And I'm going to bring that down and making sure that I'm coming all the way to the bottom. This is why I like to use the liquid glue, because it allows me a little bit of wiggle room. I might even take it up like this and adhere that on there. You really want to make sure that this is fitting, that first one especially, because it will lead everything else where it needs to go. And that looks really good. See how nice and even that is? Very, very even. Alright, so then we're going to take the next one. Find your seam and make sure your seam is down. And I'm going to put glue on the bottom of this. Now this one will be a lot easier because we'll have something to butt it up to. So we're going to butt that right up to that one. I'm going to get my bone folder in there and make sure that I'm getting it nice and tight against that one, just like that. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to put glue on the bottom of this, and we're going to press that one right over top of that. Now, I mean, how easy could that be? I'm going to press everything down and forward in that direction, making sure everything's lining up well, and it is. I'm going to press it back this way, and then I'm going to bring it back up. Now you've got these open right here, but we want to leave those open for right now, so don't glue those. And then we have our easel right there, and see how nice that's going to lay? Now we're going to take this piece and it's going to get glued onto here. But before we glue it, let's decide what we want to do. I've decided, since I'm using that beautiful black and white paper, I want to do a matte in black, and I chose the other side of that striped piece for my pattern paper. So my designer series paper came from that, what was that? What was it I told you it was called? perfectly penciled. And we are going to put this down right like that. So what I want to do is I'm going to turn that over, and I think for this, do I want to use glue or do I want to use my Stampin' Seal? Yeah, let's do a little Stampin' Seal. Alright, I'm going to start right here and I'm going to run one over, and I'm going to do another one right here in the middle and another one right up at the very top. And then we are going to glue this down on top of that beautiful piece of black, giving ourselves just ever so slightly little margin around it. Isn't that pretty? Now I cut out using, I don't know if y'all have used the delicate edges dies, but these are gorgeous. Let me show you. This one right here really took my eye. Look at that beautiful piece that you could run up the side of a card or across the bottom of a card. I really love this one on the side. But I also did this one, and I like it equally as well. So what do you do when you like two different pieces? But I think that this one fits this card much better than that one. So for that reason, I think I'm going to run this up about like that. And we're going to need to use a fine tip glue to get that on there. So I think this one's going to give us a little bit of trouble. So I have some glue in this little fine tip bottle. If it will play nicely, we will do it in that. So I'm going to lay that over, and I want to come in and put just, and it is working, hallelujah, and I'm going to put glue okay, there we go. I got a clump out of there, and I think once we got that clump out, we're going to be okay. And what I'm doing is I'm just dotting the glue up the sides and out onto the edges. I really want to get this where it will adhere down quite nicely. Alright, so now that I've got that piece, let's move that out of our way. And I'm going to bring this piece back in. And yes, I've got glue on the front, but hopefully that's going to dry. And I'm going to just put that down like that. I'm going to grab my other, this is why I have two of these, because if I have one that's wet with glue, I definitely need another one. And I'm just going to press that down like that. And hopefully my glue will dry clear. And we can snip that off the top once that glue dries. So I'm going to set that up there and just let it dry. And I need to decide a focal point. I want something on the front of this piece. And I'm thinking that maybe I have this piece of cardstock right here. I'm going to lay these two together and just get them out of my way so I don't make a mess with them. I'm thinking that I want to use a die. And I am thinking, I'm thinking maybe this one. And this one is called the Label Me Lovely. And we are going to punch out just a little something for a focal point on the front of that. And let's see if we can have something maybe right about like that. I'm going to go ahead and get this adhered to this white piece. But let's go ahead and trim this off. I think we're dried enough that we can trim it. So I'm gonna actually grab these scissors that aren't supposed to stick. Actually, I used them a few minutes ago with some sticky Velcro and I didn't clean them, so shame on me. But I think we can probably use these to clip this off. So I'm going to turn it over and I am going to snip that off like that. And then we are going to go ahead and adhere this onto that white piece. Isn't that pretty? I love the way that little vine looks. I think it's gorgeous. So I'm going to use some glue for this since we're putting it down with the cardstock. And I am going to just run some glue all around my edges and squiggle some through the middle. And then we're going to put this on just like so. And don't worry about the measurements. I'm going to have each one of these measurements in the description, and I might even try to type up a PDF for this, and I'll post it over in our Facebook group under files. So that way, if you decide you want to go over and print that out, you will be able to do so. And I'm trying to decide, do I want that like that? Or do I want it like that? And I think like that. All right. So let me put the little cap back on this. And now we're ready. I think we're ready to go ahead and adhere this to this piece. Now what you want to do is only put glue on this piece, and then we're going to center this up nice and even right on top of that, and then everything's going to sit down on here like that. And if you want to decorate these little pieces along here, now would be the time to do that before you get everything stuck down. So I think I'm going to do that. I want to put these little stripes on here. I want one to go on the front, and I want one on each one of these going across. So I'm going to go ahead and cut. I know that these are 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to cut 1/2 inch strips, and I know it's 4 1/4 this way, so I'm going to do some 1/2 inch strips. I'm going to cut those and we'll meet right back up. Alright, I'm back and I got these all cut and ready to go on. And you can see they look just a little wonky because of the nature of this, but we're going to put them on, and I think I'm going to start with the one right here. And I'm just going to use liquid glue, and I'm just going to run a tiny bit of glue right through the middle, and I'm just putting that on just like that. And then I'm going to stand this one up, and I know they're going to go from side to side evenly, but I want to get it lined up this way, just like that. And that looks really good. Then we're going to do the same thing here. So again, I'm just going to take and run a bead of glue. And put this one right here. Just like that. And we're going to get one more right there. And put this one down right here. And then this one. And there we go. Now we're ready to go ahead and put glue on this. So I'm going to only put glue on this section right here where your fold's at. Don't go past that fold when you're putting your glue on, because you don't want to glue up to the top of that, because this is the bend for your easel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit this straight in front of me and just tap it down, and then I'm going to lay it down this way and give that a press. And you can use your bone folder if you like to go over it. So now when you set this up, you're going to have something like this. How pretty. So now we can start decorating with our flowers, and I want to show you what I had in mind. I think I might want to heat emboss, but when I did the video where I showed you how to cut out your die pieces, this is what prompted me to do that video. I had these pieces cut, and I was cutting them, and this is the one that was a little wonky, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. When you die cut, the last thing you want to do is have to come in and do this number, but we're going to do it on this one so we don't waste it. And I'm sure y'all have done this as well as I have. You know, you got your piece and you're thinking, oh my goodness, that didn't pan out for me too well, so let me see if I can trim it. And it does really kind of defeat the purpose of having, you know, dies. So that was a great way to learn how to. And I'm gonna come up the side on this one just a little bit, like that. And then I'm gonna get all these little shavings off of my work surface. And I think now we're ready. I do want to heat emboss my message on this, and I think I'm going to use You Are Positively the Greatest, and we're going to put that kind of up to the top. So do I want to heat emboss before? I think I do. I think I'm going to heat emboss before I go any further with these pieces. So I'm going to lay those over there, and we're going to get our embossing material out, and I'm going to use my little embossing buddy all over that because I've touched it with glue on my fingers, and that's never good. I'm going to get my VersaMark ink and my white embossing powder, and I need a stamp block. Alright, so I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to get it over here and see if I can get it about where I want it, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. Then I'm going to see if I can center that right about there. Give some nice even pressure to it. That looks pretty good. You probably can't see it, but I can see that the ink did take on that. So we are going to, let me get my little tweezers because these come in real handy for holding this without getting embossing powder all over me. And when I get ready to heat set this, I can hold it and not worry about burning my fingers. And look how pretty that's going to be. I love it. Now if you see you've got some extra embossing powder, and I can see a few places right here. Oh, I messed up. Okay, let's take it back into the embossing powder. I got a little too wild with my brush. And I got a little bit off of my U. Okay, that's good. That actually, everything came back perfectly, so that was good. All right, let's close this back up. And I'm going to bring over my little embossing mat that I have. Really inexpensive little tool to have. I picked that up at the Dollar Tree. I think it was like $1.25, and I just wrapped it. It's a bamboo cutting board, and I got to do something with this. My my plug is not reaching. I think I must have plugged this in behind my desk. Let me get this plugged where I can use it, and I'll be right back. Alright, we're back, and I have my gun now where I can get it over here. The cord was pulling it to the point that I couldn't stretch it over to my desk. This is going to make some noise, so just bear with me. I'm going to let it heat up just a little bit before I actually put it to the embossing powder. So hang tight. This is one of the techniques that I never get tired of watching because it is just one of the most fantastic things ever. And I like to lay it down. And once you start to see that embossing powder go from that dull white to that shiny white, it is just gorgeous. I'm going to turn it over and do that side as well. And that's all there is to that. That's just such a wonderful technique, and I love to heat emboss. It's so pretty. Then I need to decide, and look how pretty that's going to be on there. Isn't that gorgeous? Love it. Okay, I'm not going to put that down yet because I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do this yet. So I am going to do a little clean sweep here on my work surface and get some of that off. There we go. And this is going to be, I think, just the cutest little card ever. Now these spaces that we have left here, this is where we're going to tuck in some little things that's going to pop up. And I think what I want to do is I want to have maybe, what you want to do is make sure that nothing impedes when you flatten this down, that it doesn't stick off of the edge of your card here. And you can't go up any further than this. So you have to be aware of what's going where. So I think probably one there, like that. That looks good. And then we can do one back here, and I think this one I want it to be more like that. Or maybe we'll do a leaf here. And maybe a leaf back here. And then what if we take this one that I have colored and have that pop of red right in the very back? Or do we want the pop of red in the front? Oh, decisions, decisions. Or maybe we want this one here, and this one back here, and this one here. And we can put that leaf right there. I think that's how I want it, and then it's going to look like this. I like that. So it's going to be white, red, and then white. And I think that's going to be beautiful. I do want to do one thing. When I colored this, I went outside of the line just a little bit right there. So I'm going to use my color lifter and see if that will take that back just a little bit. Helped it a little bit, don't you think? Oh yeah, much better. When it dries, it'll look even better than it does now. All right, that's the Stampin' Blends the ink blender or the eraser, the lifter. And I love that. That works out so good. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right along the back of the bottom of this one. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and go right across this bottom. And then I'm going to tuck it in right about there. And I'm just going to press that because I want to make sure that it's getting a good glue. We're going to take this little leaf and we're going to tuck it in right there as well, but I'm going to put a little more glue on it. And press those two together. Okay, now we have this one that we want to put. We want to showcase this one for sure. So that one's going to go down right about here. So I'm going to put glue right there. And then we're just going to set this one in just like that. And then the last one is going to go right about here, just like that. And I'm going to put a little glue here. And that one's going to go right back there. Something like that. And then we're going to put this leaf right off from it. Let's open that up because we don't want to get glue on the front of our card. I'm going to put some glue on the front of this, and we're going to tuck it right there, just like so. All right, so that's the way that's going to look, and I'm going to show y'all by turning it over. Look at all that dimension. So now you're going to want to come back and glue these pieces together. And the best way to do that is fold it flat, come in and just run some glue all over the inside of that. Bring it up and hold it. Hold it. Let it sit up. Then you're going to do the same thing with this one here. You're going to bring it down. And then just take glue and run it all up and down, just like that. And then hold that shut, just like so. So now those are all glued together. The front of our card is ready. So now we can go ahead and put our sentiment on the front of it. And I think with this one, I want to pop this up right about here. So I'm going to use some dimensionals for that. So let me grab my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm just going to break these loose, and I'm going to put one here. I'll put one right there. And I've got glue on my fingers, so it's like everything's wanting to stick to my fingers, so I really need to wipe that off. But let's get these on first so we can go ahead and get the front of our card finished. And I'm going to show you what else you can do as far as the back goes and getting a place for your sentiment, or if you want to write a personal message. So let's go ahead and just pick these up. Alright, so now this is ready to adhere right on the front, and I'm going to come up to about here. I want the message to show, but I want it to also come down just a little bit. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do a ribbon or a bow or anything like that on this. And I really don't know that it needs it because it is so pretty just like it is. Now we do have it sticking out a little bit. Now you can do one of two things. When you close it up, if you've got it sticking out, you can trim that off, which is always a good thing to do. That way it will definitely fit in your envelope. When the recipient gets this card, it's going to be so pretty. We still have two places here that we can put some sentiments, some designer series paper, and I think that's exactly what I want to do. I want to lay some more paper, and I think I want to go with that same design that we used on the front. This is so delicate and so pretty. I think it would look really nice on here, and I'm thinking that maybe we could line here and here with these. So let's kind of snip that in half and see what we get. And in half would be right there. Little paper snips to the rescue. And let's see. We're going to need a piece in here that's going to be 4 1/4 by, let's get our trusty little ruler so we can measure that, by 3. So let's go ahead and cut that at 4 1/4 by 3. So I know that the width of it is 4 1/4, so I'm going to cut that first. And then we'll cut this down this way at 3. And then we can decide if we want to put these little pieces on here like this. I think if I do, I'm going to clip off just a little bit more of this and kind of give it more of a finished look by doing that. I think that at the bottom is fine. And let's see what we have going on here. I think this one right here can be snipped. Let me know in the comments if you love these dies, these edging, what did I say they were called? Delicate edges. I think they're beautiful. Alright, I'm going to bring my little silicone craft sheet back in. And yes, it's the one I've got glue all over, but that's okay, because we're going to put glue on the back of this, and hopefully we won't get it anywhere else. So I'm going to take this and turn it over, and I'm going to lay that down nice and straight. Just let it run up the side of the paper. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, turn it over, and I'm going to get some glue on those larger areas. And flip it over and do the same thing here. We just want to bring it up and over, just like that. And let that dry for a minute. Now I'm going to get this ink off of my fingers because my fingers are sticking to everything. Alright, now we'll put the cap back on that, and let's bring our card back in, and then we are going to proceed. Oh, did that is impinging right there, so I may have to clip this off just a little bit. just like that. And I think that's going to work. I think I am going to clip this one off. Easier to do this when they're not already attached, but it's okay. We're going to go in with the snip end of this and just snip it off and then round that off like that. Okay. And this little leaf right here that's sticking up, leaves are fine if they're just whacked off like that. Nobody pays any attention, so I think that will work just fine. So now we can go ahead and adhere this down to here. So pretty. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal on this. That's the wrong one. Aha! I was thinking that wasn't my regular Stampin' Seal when I used it a while ago. And so now we can just bring this all the way in, just like that, and press that down. And now we have a little bit of continuation of that paper. And we can do something here with just a regular black panel, which I think would be really cute. And then maybe a piece of white and a message. So this is 4 1/4 by, that should be 2 1/2. Okay, 4 1/4 by 2 1/2. So I'm going to cut this piece down to 2 1/2. By 4 1/4. And I think what I want to do with this is I'm going to use a punch, and I want that new punch. This one right here, that is the, no, that's not it. That's an old one. Alright, I know that punch is right here because I used it the other day. Here it is. This is the lasting label punch. And now my question is, do I want to use my lovely and lasting stamp set and stamp that in black and then punch it out? I think that would give it definitely an air of elegance. And I think that might be what we do. So I'm going to line that up right there. And I'm going to get my Momento black ink. I'm going to press that and give it a good little, there we go. Isn't that beautiful? That's going to look so nice with the piece that we're doing. So let's lay that right there, and let's open up our punch and go ahead and line it up into your punch like so. And punch, and then we're ready to stamp a message inside. And I think, since our card is saying you are positively the greatest, we're going to put inside thinking of you. I think that would be really nice. So this is going to go in here like that, and then this is going to go in here. And we're going to do sentiment that says thinking of you. And should we do that in red? Wouldn't that be pretty just to have that little pop of red to be kind of like a little surprise in there? Since we have it, I think we will. And I used the Sweet Sorbet to color this flower, and I used the Soft Succulent for the leaves. So we're going to do that. We're just going to follow through. So I'm going to line that up. And I'm going to do my best to get this nice and straight. Let that transfer. Ah, so pretty. And I think that's going to give it a beautiful little pop of color on the inside, which is exactly what I think this card needed. And who doesn't love black, white, and red? Oh, so pretty. All right, I'm going to put some glue on this and adhere it down. Just like so. Making sure I'm getting it all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this. And pop that right about there. And now our card is done. But like I said, if you want to, once you close everything down like this, if you wanted to put a panel on the back, you could very easily cut out a piece of black. It's already pretty thick. You can see what a thick card this is, but you could also just write on the back of it like it is. I mean, right here would be a great place, because with it sitting up like this, you've got here or here that you could put a message. I think this area right here would be the perfect place to sign, and that's what I would do. But I think the card turned out absolutely gorgeous, and we have our 3 blocks here with everything adhered to it. And I mean, how pretty is that? I'll have pictures over on the Facebook page of this, and I hope that this would be something that you would like to make. I think it just turned out absolutely beautiful. I hope you enjoyed watching me design and decorate this card. I really didn't design it because I did get this fold off of another channel, but I did opt to size it down to an A2 size card. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that this would be something that would be a challenge for you, and that you'd give it a try. And if you do, post your pictures over on my Facebook group. We would love to see what you're doing. So don't be shy. You can be an inspiration to someone just by sharing your beautiful creations. So thanks again so much for tuning in. May God bless and keep you. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy. Until we craft again, God bless and keep you. Bye-bye.